What's up, party people? This is Jude Snowboardy here. I've written before about my pricing strategy and how I price, but this is more a commentary on this idea of fair market value. I've talked about it before. What does fair mean? It doesn't mean it's a fair price to everybody. It just means those two people agreed on a price. And then when you have 10 data points or 100 data points, then you start doing statistics, and there's usually a bell curve of what those average sales points are. So if you have an ASM 300, very common book, and a 9.8 or a 9.6 or a 9.4, you have thousands of pieces of sales data, and they all average up, and they give you a rough idea of what most people are buying it at. And then there's outliers. It's called Six Sigma, I think, or Sigma. There's the bell curve, and then there's the tails on the end of the bell curve that shows you where the outliers are. The really low sales, which are probably reported from certain auction sites, and then maybe the really high sales, which could be a number of reasons, like someone overseas who's looking for someone who's willing to ship overseas. They're looking for someone who's willing to store the book for them. So there's only a few websites. You can't do that with eBay. Some of the auction houses, they'll pay more because they'll actually store the book for you and then allow you to turn around and sell it, and then they don't have to worry about import duties, shipping duties. So there's a lot of reasons why a price might be really low or really high on that bell curve. So it's very easy to come up with a average sales price. Granted, they don't include tax, so $1,000, $3,000 books, you'd have to add in tax to find out what the average sales price is, because that's what the person paid. That's what they were willing to pay, that total amount. That's what matters, total cost. These people that say you don't add in tax and shipping and buyer's fees. I just saw a buyer's fee on an auction today that was 25%. So you add in all costs to get the total cost of the book. But I digress. So on a book that's very common, blue label ASM 300, then you have a bell curve, and it's pretty easy to see what the average sales prices are. Now, I purposely don't focus on average books. I focus on very unique books. Signature series will make it unique. How many 9.8 CGCs are out there with a Stanley and a Todd McFarlane of ASM 300? Probably a good amount, but not thousands, maybe 100. And then recorded sales on GPA might be even less than that, since some of those transactions were, peer-to-peer. So when I price, I want to be the low-cost provider. And what that means is there is no other buyer out in the world willing to post his book for sale on eBay less than me. Now, I might be $300 above last sale. I might be $250 above the 90-day average. So someone might say, oh, it sells for, $250 to $300. No, that's what it sold for in the past. Lots of factors could explain why a book just went up in value. What just went up in value recently? Not Venom 3, although that did earlier this year, but one book I just sold blew through the roof as soon as an announcement was made. Jesus, just escaping me, and I just sold two of them that were related. Oh, Lobo, the first appearance, Omega 3, and then Lobo, the first book. So they just blew up. They were selling for $250 maybe, and I just sold it for over $400. So looking at past sales wouldn't have helped, because I would have marked it on what past sales were, and I would have sold it way below market. So I don't try to keep up with all the different news articles. That's what a lot of people do. They keep up with all the different news articles, all the different videos, trying to keep informed of what's hot and what's not and what's specking. All I do is get online, two different websites that are very common, and I look for this lowest buy it now price. Now, if there's nobody else in the world selling this Batman Silver Age book I have, it's 3.5 or 5.5. I just got a Silver Surfer 4. I think it was a 3.5. Average sales are $400, $450, and I'm selling it for $600 because it's the cheapest available anywhere out there. Or I think I am. I don't remember the numbers. But the point is, yeah, someone got it for a great deal in the past. And if future buyers want to turn around and sell it for that amount, then great. Then I will beat those prices after they post it. But the fact that there's thousands and thousands of those books out there, and nobody in the world is selling one on my comic book shop or eBay for less, that gives me the idea that I'm just going to be the low-cost provider worldwide. And a lot of people are so focused on, no, you can't sell it for more than what the last sale is on fair market value, or no, you can't sell it for what cover price says is fair market value, or Go Collect says is fair market value, or the 90-day average with GPA. Granted, those fair market values on Go Collect and cover price, that's a system generated number. That's not just straight averages. They take percentages and they have their own little formula to try to give you an idea of what fair market value is. And a lot of times fair market value is way higher than the last 5 sales, which, go figure. But in any case, when nobody else in the world is selling it, that means people are not going to keep selling it because they don't want, when we're going through a down market like this, the people that need cash, and I wrote about this, just because someone's broke and needs cash and they're willing to give away their books at 70%, that doesn't mean that's the value of the book. That's the reported history of the sales, which is great. And we're in this habit of, I don't want to pay more than the last guy, which I guess is great. And it's fine for the hobby and community. I don't want to pay more than the last guy. But the truth is, if the last guy paid $900, I might be willing to pay $900. But since the last guy paid $300, I don't want to pay more than $300. I don't want to be the fool. So we're really hung up on last sale. Now, if that same data was published for a new car, how many of us would be like, oh, I'm not going to pay more than what that guy did at that dealership, over in New Mexico. So, we're lucky in that we have last sales data, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't price it for more than that or under it if you want to really move it quickly. A lot of people are trying to sell things and move it quickly, so they sell in an auction and it's going for really, really dirt cheap. Anyways, this idea of if nobody else is selling it lower than in the example I used, 600, and I'm selling it for 600, but last few sales were 400. That means nobody else in the world wants to get rid of it for that low of amount. So sooner or later, we're going to hit this bottom. And nobody's going to want to post their books for that low because they're like, it's not worth it. I'd rather hold on to it and wait till it go back up. So this pricing is a way to, and for those who are thinking about pricing, this pricing is a way to avoid going below the bottom. Selling it for 400 when it's actually people are going to start paying 600 for it. So I think it's perfectly okay. Some people, and I'm making this video for those who see that price and say, hey, the last 3 sales are 450. Good luck. I've already searched online. Nobody in the world is selling it for 450. Some people love the hunt. I get it. If you love the hunt, you want to beat what the last person bought it off of purely pride, then go for it. But a lot of collectors aren't like you. If you're the person that likes to hunt specifically to beat the last guy, then that might not be the target market someone like me is going after. I have a bunch of good books. When someone comes to me, same with Mile High, this might be their philosophy, why they have overpriced books, but they got a lot of books. They're waiting for the person who's looking for that hard to find book. They know they can go there. They know they can come to me and they can get a bunch of great books, because if I price it too low, my inventory is just gonna keep moving like this. And then the only people that could buy it are the ones that are always watching Facebook or Instagram or, my website or blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of people that don't have the time to be online because they make a lot of money. They have full-time jobs and they just want to be able to come to me and say, hey, do you have a Credible Hulk 340? Yeah, I do. It's $1,100. Last sale was $950. But you add in tax, that's $50. That's $100. Shipping, and you can't get it that low on Facebook. So they might say, okay, I just want it for $1,100, and I know it'll be shipped well, and I know packing will be great, and it'll be an easy transaction. So anyways, happy hunting, guys. A little insight into what is the value of a book. If nobody else is selling it in the world for that price, then those last 3 sales don't indicate what it should be going for. I don't know if that's really understandable, but makes perfect sense to me. Anyways, happy hunting, guys.